Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, I'm chatting with two of our amazing The Coach graduates, Cary Hart and DeKoker. Cary and Andre are also both graduates of the Coattail program. And for the last academic year, they've been working on building innovation design maker programs in their individual schools. Cary at the elementary school level and Andre in the middle school. In this Spotlight episode, we're focusing on the successes in their first year of implementation. In the full-length episode, we also chat about the ways that coaching plays a role in this new space, as well as their current challenges and how they're working to overcome them. To hear the full episode, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is a great insight into the kinds of conversations that the Coattail program inspires and that we have within the Coach Certificate Mentorship Program. Right now, Coattail will be open for registration soon, and it will empower you to leverage innovative technology-rich learning opportunities in your school setting, whether you're a teacher, a coach, or a leader. Our registration dates are from the 18th of October to the 14th of November. We only open our global cohorts once a year, so don't miss it. Head over to coattail.com to find out more. All right, welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, I am super excited to be here chatting with two of my current The Coach participants. I'm here with Cary Hart in Russia and DeKoker in Shanghai. And Cary's working with me in the Coach Premium cohort, and Andre is working with Diana in the Academy cohort. And both of them have very similar positions, like transitions in their career right now. So we thought it would be really interesting to kind of get together and talk about the ways that they're moving forward in this journey of their positions right now, because I know that lots of people are in similar areas of their career. So first, before we dig too deep into that, I would like to get each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about where you're at, where you have come from in terms of your professional journey, and where you are kind of what we're going to talk about today in terms of your position. And I will start with Cary, and then I'll go to Andre.
So, hi, I'm Cary Hart. I'm a current title is EdTech Innovation Coach, which is a new title this year. I started out as an integrationist in 2012, a typical tech integrationist trying to figure out ways to embed technology into classroom activities and lessons in an authentic way. I did that for 4 years in England. Now I'm at the Anglo-American School of Moscow. And I came in as a tech integrationist, kind of took over tech coordinator role. This position is something that the school's been working on as part of a strategic plan for 2 or 3 years, and like trying to figure out how to bring it in, what to do, exactly where to go with it. We got the physical space ready, and so the job description changed. And I was actually going to stay in tech integration, and the new person was going to be hired in. But after I set up the space and the leadership saw me in the space and saw how I set it up, they were like, man, you're going to manage the space and we're going to bring the other person in as a tech integrationist. So that's how I ended up with the role. And so I'm trying to figure out this year sort of what it is, what it means, how it works, and where it can go.
And I think you are not alone in that, figuring out what it is, how it works, what it means, and where it can go. I have a feeling Andre is going to pick right up with that and run with it. Andre, tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are right now and what your kind of space and situation looks like in your school.
Hi, my name is DeKoker, as you've already heard. Currently, I am working at Concordia International School in Shanghai. This is my first year as the maker design and integration coach, and it's also a brand new role. Before that, I taught almost everything in middle school. I was middle school STEM for 5th grade, and then moved to humanities in 7th grade. And then I also taught in the makerspace for a couple of years as just a makerspace elective. And then when this job opportunity came on, I applied and got the role. But just like Cary said, it's brand new to our school. We're all just trying to figure out how it fits in and what it actually means. And for me, I think it's been part of it's been really exciting, and other parts have been pretty sort of frustrating and scary in a way, because it being such a new role, not always knowing if I'm doing the right thing. So I think part of the discussion today is just to maybe get some more clarity between the three of us.
Yeah, I think
And
that's actually a really good. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Cary.
Right, I second that completely. The whole like trying to figure out where you're going and trying to make sure you're doing the right thing, but also like, is this where we want it to go, or am I getting off on like a tangent that's not really sustainable, and trying to keep it in a lane, but keep it in like the pathways ahead of it open, but not like end up in something like you turn it into completely a robotics lab and that's all it's good for.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to start, Andre, you talked about having so many exciting moments and then have areas of challenge. I wonder if we start with like what you both feel like has been working really well for others who are kind of transitioning into this role. What are things that have worked so far for you? And then we can get at the challenges and maybe do some kind of problem solving amongst the three of us and think about what might be ways that we might be able to approach that feels right given all of the circumstances. So, Andre, I'm going to get you to start with the things that you said that have been really exciting and went really well. And then I'll get Cary to share some of those. And then we'll go into some of the challenges that we see and talk through some of those.
Well, I think some of the really exciting things was when I was teaching the Maker elective, I was basically in there for one block of time every second day. But in this role, I've kind of been given this space. So I've been able to organize it in a way that makes sense for me. I'm part of the team that has to order the materials that we need in the space. So the management aspect of it and the administration of the space I've really enjoyed. And also in terms of the coaching aspect, it's been easier to bring classes in for the maker part of this whole role. Makes sense to the teaching community when I go to a teacher and say, what are you working on? Can we try and find a way to bring your class into the makerspace? They're very open to that. And I've had a couple of good conversations with teachers in all the grade levels in middle school. And it led to activities within the space that I really feel supported the unit that the teacher was on, but also engaged the students in a way that wouldn't have happened just with the normal assessment and the normal products that the students had to use within the classroom setting. So that has been a real plus point for me.
Just curious, before we go to Cary, I want to hear a little bit more about how you said it makes sense to the teachers to use the space. Tell me what you hear when you talk to teachers about, would you be willing to come to the space? I have this idea, like what makes you think that they are making that connection so well, or what's helping you make that connection so well, or what's helping them make that connection so well?
But I think a big part of it is trying to implement some of the things I'm learning in the coach. Just asking the right questions. I'm an idea person. I can come up with ideas fairly quickly when I'm sitting with these teachers, but I'm having to learn to step back and let them tell me what they're looking for. And that has worked. As soon as the teachers start talking, I can maybe just plant a seed every now and then or throw out an idea for them to consider. So a couple of times now I've engaged a teacher, for instance, in both of them actually in sixth grade. The one was in literacy, the other one was in science. And the teacher in literacy had no idea of how to use the space. So I brainstormed a few ideas, went back to her, and just let her think through the ideas. She came back a couple of weeks later and said, I liked X, Y, and Z. And then we were able to co-plan how to facilitate that in her classroom. The science teacher just wanted to redesign her unit because she didn't like the products that were being created by the students. So once again, I went away, kind of brainstormed ideas, went back to her, and then she and I kind of redesigned those ideas. And I think that was where I got really excited. It wasn't just my idea being implemented. It kind of became our idea. And I stepped back a lot and just said, okay, I can do that. You're interested in working or changing this product idea in the makerspace to something that better fits your learning goals. We can do that. And that back and forth was what I was looking for. And that's to me the easier part of the coaching. And I find because the makerspace is something tangible that I can show them the tools, I can show them the materials. It is much easier for the teachers to make the connection to what their students can do in order to show their learning.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think the interesting for me as a person who's come from a tech background, the interesting piece is the tangible aspect of the makerspace. Like, we can do this here with these things that you can see and touch with your hands. Like, I think that does help a lot. And I really appreciate your point about asking the right questions and stepping back and listening and hearing what they need, and then going away and brainstorming some ideas and coming back with potential possibilities, and then allowing them again to take that away and think about it. I think that is a skill of a coach in a space like this, because you need to hear what the teachers need, but you're also still always going to have that period of expertise with the space that you have to essentially kind of pitch some ideas to them and see what they're going to feel is right based on their curricular needs. So you have that kind of fine line of coaching by listening and asking the right questions and being sure to meet the needs of the teacher, but also provide them with that touch of expertise, given the fact that the space requires some expertise. No, Cary, what about you? Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
Okay. Cary, go ahead.
Well, that part resonates with me because that's basically been my life as a tech integrationist as well. Listening to teachers I find it very difficult to coach teachers with tech when they don't know what the possibilities are. So often I start with questions and then I come up with sort of some pathway ideas to get them sort of started. And then I sort of leave them with it, like you said, and then see what they come back to. And usually they take my initial idea and then sort of develop it further. And then we work together to sort of sort it out. So that really resonates with me as well. As far as what's worked for me so far this year, the first thing I'll have to say is leadership support. So the leadership team made it very clear to me that this was a year of learning, and it was okay that I took time to learn. So, for example, I have this much skill with a 3D printer, and they're like, take some time. If you need to block out 4 hours and work on your 3D printer, block out 4 hours and work on your 3D printer. Same thing with a laser cutter. And as part of that, we have a larger coaching team in the elementary school with some subject area coaches. And as a team, this is a year of learning for us. So I personally have been given a year of learning in the role, as well as trying to get it as up and running as much as possible. But also the team of us has been given a year of learning. So there's not the pressure of it's got to be perfect this year and do it. It's the freedom to explore and experiment with support. And so part of that support is the fact that I've had a lot of financial support for the space. So the PTO has given us 3 grants. And that has made my life much easier because it's sort of a bank of money. I basically said, I need this amount of money. I don't know what I'm buying, but I'm buying some tools and stuff. And they were like, okay, great. So it makes much easier for me to purchase because I don't have to go through the normal, talk to the principal and get permission. I just send the purchasing manager a list. And as long as I've got money in that little PTO budget grant, I just keep deducting from it. So that's been a super, because 2 weeks ago, I literally ordered 45 things in the week, one at a time. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry. I'll start sending it to you in 1 email a day because I was sending him ping, 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 ping. Because it was just, I was in the room working and I would go, oh, I need this. And then I'd come back. Oh, I need that. And I'd come back. So because the room was working, so that leads to the next thing. The room is not set up. So I basically went to the furniture storeroom and I stole as much dodgy looking furniture as possible. The tables have scratches on them and the facilities guys are like, do you really want this table? And I'm like, hammering and nailing. And they're like, oh yeah, great. You take this table. And so all my tables in the space are like not precious. So the kids, I tell the kids, you can hammer, you can nail, you can drill on them, you can do whatever. It's not going to bother them. And so because the space is set up that way, and also because it's not fixed furniture that was purchased for the space, I'm really flexible in the way I use it. So I can rearrange it. Like I've already figured out that I need another vise to hold wood for cutting. And I need a way so that two people could be working on the vise at a time. So I've got to figure out a way to sort of turn this table that's pushed up against a wall, so it's kind of maybe out. But I have the freedom to do that because the space is not like pre-built and then I went into it. It's literally was a blank room. I'm very lucky that it had been turned into a computer lab. So there's electrical trunking everywhere on like all three walls. So I can put electricity anywhere, which is fabulous. So I've got there's some, it's a room. So it comes with some like pillars and weird things you can't move and stuff. But for the most part, it's flexible, which is handy because every time students have worked in there, I have learned more about the space, about what works and what doesn't work in the space. I've learned more about where so for example, I started with the saws in one place, and then now I've realized the saws need to be in another place. And because I didn't sort of permanently fix them there, like I haven't done the thing where you trace on the tool wall, the tools, so the kids know where it goes back to, because I'm not sure that all the tools are going to stay there. So I'm just sort of, right now, we're trying to figure that out. So that flexibility has been huge, and has been a thing that is something. It almost leads me to think that I don't really want to ever have it in a fixed way, because you never know how it's going to evolve, and this means that I can evolve it in any way, or it can evolve in any way it can. One of the things that's really, really worked well for me, though, is I set up a whole safety system because we have saws and hammers and drills and all this kind of stuff. The pre-K had already a system for tools that they use in their little makerspace. So they have a red dot means you have to have an adult with you with that tool. And I think that was pretty much all they had, but I wanted several layers. So I have a sort of color coding system, and I have 4 colors. Black is adults only, and I have almost nothing of that because it's a space for kids. Red is you must be supervised. Yellow means there's a video to watch, either a safety video or sort of a how to use it video. And then green means they can use it however they want. Like they're free to use it. They're free to pick it up and use it. So for example, the big hammers, the big claw hammers, the adult sized claw hammers, they're yellow because a lot of kids don't know how to use them. But the little tiny ones that are like 200 grams and don't weigh anything, that they would really have to bang on something to really do anything, they're green. So they're banging on these nails and, they're not doing anything, but they're happy because they think they're, making nails do something. And then the last thing I'll say is that I already had a relationship with teachers where I was in charge of skills and they were in charge of content as far as technology. And that has moved into this space. So grade 2 has just come in and done a whole unit, 2 weeks worth in the space. And when the kids would say, well, I think I'm done with my project, and I would send them over to their teacher to confirm, or they would ask me a question about, can I do this to my simple compound machine? And I was like, no, you got to talk to your teacher. I don't know what the rules are about your thing. I can teach you how to use a hammer, but I'm not sure what your rules are as far as, and I would constantly ask the teacher, can they add a 4-foot tall piece of wood? And the teacher's like, no, it has to fit on your, whatever. So that has been a good relationship that translated up into the space, which is nice.
I heard a lot in there, but my takeaway from what you said is don't rush. And I think I've been hearing that in a lot of different contexts. I had another really great conversation with the coaches, the instructional coaches from the Nido de Aguilas in Chile earlier last week at some point. They will also be on the podcast. I'm not sure if that episode is airing before or after this conversation, but they talked a lot about the first year of their coaching program just being a year of building. And I'm kind of hearing that same message from you. And I don't know, maybe that was also a little bit part of Andre, the way that it felt comfortable to kind of move into the role. And I think this idea that sometimes we think if we invest money in something and we invest people in something, then it has to start right away, and it has to be perfect from day one. And that's a lot of pressure on not just you, but also, like you're talking about, moving things around and recognizing that when you use the space, something is better over here or better suited over there. If you don't have that like flexibility, that understanding that this year or however much time you have is a time to learn and understand, I think it puts a lot of pressure that causes almost like a pass-fail reaction, as opposed to we're growing into it. And so I think that's a good like strategy or approach, that if any educator who finds themselves in the space of building a new position, particularly when it comes with actual physical space that you have to manage, don't feel that pressure to get it perfect week one, day one, month one, whatever it is. Figure out how to get your admin on board with that and move forward at a pace that allows you to grow into the space. I think that's a really important message. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you are ready to leverage technology to create a student-driven, innovative, and authentically connected learning environment, please join us for our next cohort of Cotail. All educators are welcome in our Cotail community, whether you're currently in the classroom, a specialist or learning leader, a coach, or a school administrator. Cotail will engage and empower you to bring new and innovative learning strategies to life in your school community. Registration for our next global cohort opens on the 18th of October and closes on the 14th of November. We facilitate only one cohort each year so we can create connected, collaborative, and community-driven global cohorts. Now is your chance to be part of the global movement to transform learning for all students. Become a Cotailer today. Head over to cotail.com to find out more. Here at Eduro, we provide customized online professional learning for educators at the intersection of technology, coaching, and leadership. Our mission is to empower the relentless learner in you to embrace your inner leader and make a bigger impact in your school setting. Join our Coach Better Facebook group and connect with us on social media at Eduro Learning for more great resources at the intersection of technology, coaching, and leadership. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode, and we'll see you next time.